TV 2, Tulsa. From KJRH in Tulsa, this is Newscenter 2 live at 5 with Jerry Weber, Karen Keith, and Chief Meteorologist Gary Shore.
A nationwide study says censorship in public schools is up. Good afternoon. The Washington-based People for the American Way says incidents of classroom censorship have tripled in the past year.
The group says it found 130 cases of censorship nationwide, including 2 here in Oklahoma. Newscenter 2's Bill Scheel has been following the story and joins us live. Bill, did either of those cases occur here in Tulsa?
No, Karen, they didn't. One was in the small community of Agra near Chandler, where the book The Color Purple was supposedly pulled from library shelves, according to a newspaper article. And the other one, according to a paper article, was in Sallisaw, where a teacher reportedly ripped out 9 pages of a biology notebook. Officials in Tulsa say they've only had 3 or 4 challenges to materials in the past 10 years. That's because of community involvement in the text. As Jerry mentioned at the top, they say in the past year, the number of instances of censorship have tripled. Karen?
Bill, are Tulsa educators confident that they can keep censorship from becoming an issue in the public schools?
Well, they're confident, but with a little bit of hesitation. That's because they say there is a trend nationwide towards a closer examination of school books, and they hope that their involvement in the community will ensure that we don't get into a censorship situation here in Tulsa. Karen?
Okay, thanks, Bill. A Tulsa police officer is in critical condition tonight following an automobile accident. According to police, Officer Dennis Campbell was driving on Memorial about 12:30 when his car was struck by a dump truck trying to avoid another accident. Police say the driver of the truck has been cited for reckless driving. 3 Oklahomans who narrowly escaped death aboard Pan Am Flight 73 in Pakistan are scheduled to come home tonight. Zeba Hamid and her 2 young children from Duncan were among the survivors of the terrorist ordeal last Friday. And over the last 2 days, the Hamid family and others from the flight were reunited with relatives in New York. Mrs. Hamid says her only thought while on the plane was how to get her children out. 18 people died during that siege. Meanwhile, terrorism continues to take its toll overseas tonight. In Turkey, funerals have begun for the 22 people killed over the weekend in an attack on an Istanbul synagogue. In France, 1 person is dead and at least 10 others hurt after an explosion ripped through City Hall. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the bombing. And in Cologne, West Germany, police are still trying to figure out who's behind an attack there this morning. A powerful bomb destroyed part of that nation's counterintelligence building. 1 person was hurt. Locally, the state's tax revenues fell by more than $31 million last month compared to August of 1985.
And though the figures may sound high, state officials say it's 20% less than what the state collected last year. In 1985, the state's revenues for the month of August stood at about $155 million, while this year the general revenues for August are about $124 million. Governor Nye says falling tax revenues on oil and gas caused most of the decline. The state's economy was a topic of discussion for 1st District Senate candidate Jim Jones as he spoke at a news conference today. The Democratic candidate is calling for a vigorous push for new and expanding companies to locate in the state, especially high technology companies.
And particularly my vision for Oklahoma is where a person who has a product idea can say, let's start it out. Let's try it in Oklahoma first.
Jones says his economic strategy calls for tying industrial development with research in university and colleges. Jones says the program will provide a stable, long-term plan to help all areas of the economy. Meanwhile, a possible candidate for the presidency of the United States in 1988 visited Tulsa today. Former Senate Majority Leader Howard Baker spoke on behalf of Republican Senator Don Nickles' re-election campaign. Baker retired from the Senate in 1984 after 18 years of service.
What I'm doing now, since I left the Senate, is to travel about the country trying to make it very clear that I think other than the presidency itself, nothing is more important in the political scheme of things than the retention of that Republican majority in the Senate.
Baker praised Nickles' role in changing public policy since he was elected 6 years ago. Baker claims Nickles has brought vitality and enthusiasm to the Senate. Well, coming up next, you can keep your baby safe from accidents.
That's exactly right. And you're also going to meet our new health reporter, Linda Gelzer. She'll have that story and much more next.
presenting Arby's Roast Beef All-Star.
Experience the difference at PriceSmart.
Well, tonight we want to welcome another new addition to our staff here at Newscenter 2.
We certainly do. Medical reporter Linda Gelzer is joining us from Wichita Falls, Texas, where she's been reporting on health news for a lot of years. And Karen and I want to instantly bid you welcome.
Yes.
Thank you very much, both of you. It's good to be here in Tulsa.
And it's good to have you. And I know tonight your first report is important to everybody who has a child because it's about the safety of children.
It certainly is, Jerry. And though Karen and I haven't gotten to that stage yet, I know as a father you remember buying all that baby equipment.
Absolutely.
Well, that's our report tonight. Did you know that each year more children die in home accidents than from all childhood diseases combined? That's why the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is sponsoring this first annual Baby Safety Week. They want to call your parents' attention to the toys and the nursery equipment you buy.
Come on in.
Go in.
Katie Mitchell is
just a little bit less than 2.5 inches.
Mitchell was pleased to see the bumper pads Kim uses to line Christopher's crib, but she reminded her that he's in the pulling up stage, and now is the time to lower his mattress so he doesn't fall out.
See, I get to sit down and...
Did you know that swings have a weight limit? Kim Graham found that out today. She was also reminded that collapsible joints on all baby equipment are there to make loading and unloading easy on parents. But if the joints on this stroller collapse with baby inside, the results could become tragic. In spite of all this equipment we buy for babies, pediatrician Dr. Stephen Adelson says he sees very few injuries caused by them.
Well, the most common is a fall, a bump on the head, occasionally a broken bone, occasionally concussions.
But Katie Mitchell says it's important to observe Baby Safety Week for some constant reminders to parents.
You know, just because you bought everything new and it looks safe, you have to be aware of situations that could cause it to be unsafe.
And it's important on all baby gear to read those instructions closely. 70% of all car safety seats are improper.
As guidelines for buying both new and used baby equipment. If you would like to receive a brochure concerning this information, call the U.S. Product Safety Commission toll-free at 1-800-638-CPSC.
You know, it was kind of fun getting to see little Christopher, because he's kind of a new addition here at Channel 2.
He's darling.
You know, we can't help that. But
handsome lad.
He certainly is. Kim's real proud of him. And we're both excited about being here, too, on the 5.
Oh, absolutely. I have for a long time been one of your biggest fans, and I'm greatly excited to get to share this time with you. And Linda, again, welcome.
Thank you very much.
We will see you again tomorrow. And in other news, the official Soviet newspapers are filled with stories about U.S. reporter Nicholas Danilov tonight, accusing him of all sorts of espionage. Danilov is being held in a Moscow jail on spy charges. Today, President Reagan spoke out against the arrest, saying it could have a significant effect on U.S.-Soviet relations. The president is reportedly considering several options to put pressure on the Soviets for Danilov's release, including expelling Soviet diplomats. Chile's military government has declared a state of siege. The announcement came late last night, just 4 hours after an assassination attempt on President Augusto Pinochet. Pinochet's motorcade was attacked near Santiago as the president was returning home from his weekend retreat. Pinochet escaped with just a shrapnel wound on his hand, but 5 bodyguards were killed. A pro-communist terrorist group has claimed responsibility for the attack.
In South Africa today, the head of the worldwide Anglican Church visited one of that nation's poorest shanty towns. Robert Runcie, the Archbishop of Canterbury, was escorted through the Crossroads camp by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Tutu says the camp is a symbol of the horrors of apartheid. Runcie says he was shocked and disgusted by the camp's squalor and filth. The religious leaders ended their tour at the camp's only wooden structure, an Anglican church, where they prayed for the 60,000 inhabitants of Crossroads.
Well, up next, after a pretty chilly weekend, Gary says we could see it warm up at least a bit.
His forecast is next. We'll look forward to it.
Your El Churrito, apetito.
Safeway salutes the hard.
This weekend weather was cool enough to let those chili cooks taste their chili without setting themselves on fire.
I know, but you know, a lot of people got some work done this weekend in the yard and what. It was a good weekend for them.
Yes.
A lot of folks did that. But it is going to warm up just a wee bit as the week goes along, Gary.
That's right. We'll get a little more seasonable temperatures back in here, Jerry, and it's about time after a high of only 65 yesterday. We're at 75 right now in Tulsa, and the dew point 63, 66% relative humidity. The dew point is actually the temperature of 63 degrees at which dew would form. South winds 9 miles an hour, and the barometer's 30.11 and falling right now. And in the Tulsa area for today, well, checking the pollution and pollen, pollution was no problem. Pollen continues bad at 1,942 on the scale with ragweed and mold spore still in there. The high of 76 after a low of 53 this morning, still way below the normals. We average out about a dozen below normal for this date. The record low 50. We just missed that by a few degrees. The record high 103 back in 1925. Temperatures right now in the upper 70s to around 80 down in the southern sections. A little bit cooler to the northeast where the clouds have been hanging in pretty tough. 73 at Veneta and 72 at Joplin. 74 now over at Fayetteville. In the metro area, it's also in the 70s with partly cloudy to cloudy skies. 71 degrees, a cool reading now out towards Jennings, while it's up to 78 over around Inola and 77 at Muskogee with 74 at Coweta. And my forecast for this evening, partly cloudy, humid, and not as cool as last night with southeast to south winds. A little bit stronger winds than we had last night, picking up out of the southeast and south. And to picture the evening for you with cloudy to partly cloudy skies, temperatures will drop more slowly than last night. 74 at 6 o'clock, 69 at 9, and then 66 at midnight. And the morning low temperatures, generally low 60s around here, although off towards the Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas borders, it's going to be dipping back into the mid and upper 50s by tomorrow morning. And then it looks like we're going to see temperatures back into the 80s by tomorrow afternoon. Probably the same story on Wednesday before the next front arrives, and of course we'll talk about that at 6.
That isn't bad at all. Do you have a lot of fun this time of year because of the changes every day?
Especially when it's like this. You know, a lot of times we could be 100 degrees and sitting and sweltering right now. So it sure was nice to see a good cool front and another one on the way.
Hey,
yay, thank you.
Can't beat it.
He's a funny man with a message.
Now, she's talking about Cal Tenney. You will want to meet Cal Tenney and find out how he made it to the top.
I got one of the biggest breaks in my life because the light at that moment was red.
Lots of companies pay celebrities to endorse their product. Oh, that freshness starts right out there. You see, Farm Fresh really is more than just a name.
The new Hyundai Excel is a smart choice if you want to start a carpool. After all, the front-wheel drive Excel has room for 5, is very economical, and very dependable. But since it only costs $49.95, the Hyundai Excel may start a whole new kind of carpool. Because when you buy this car, it will help you save enough money for a pool. Hyundai. Cars that make sense.
When you have children, you soon learn how many trips to the pharmacy.
Weight Watchers, meeting, learning, working together, sharing a goal, supporting each other, taking off weight and keeping it off. See for yourself now during Open Meeting Month. Attend a Weight Watchers meeting free. See how it works and why it works. Why Weight Watchers is the world's most effective weight loss program. If you want to join, you'll save $5.50. But first, come see. Do it free. Then decide. Attend a Weight Watchers meeting free, because the only way to really know is to go.
Starting tonight at 6, you'll be seeing another new face here at the news desk.
But, you know, Kara, it's not a new face, it's an old face. And it really isn't an old face, it's a nice face who's returning to Newscenter 2 Sports, because he's been here before and is a great friend, and he's been away for something like 5 years. And he joins us now live with a preview of the stories that are coming up at 6. And Al, I have to tell you, buddy, it is good to have you back.
Well, thanks a lot, Jared. It is good to be back. I don't know how nice this face is. But tonight at 6, we'll take a look at Jim McMahon. He got hurt yesterday, about the 3rd time in his career he's been hurt. He'll be out for the Chicago Bears for a couple of weeks. Harrison Walls returns to the Dallas Cowboy lineup. He'll be playing tonight probably against the Giants. And our Monday after, a close-up look at the UCLA loss to the Sooners. The polls should be out, of course, by 6. Who do you think will be number 1, Jer?
Oh, you really, hey, you know, what I'm wondering, Al, do you think they'll be unanimous?
Oh, Alabama will probably get 2 or 3 votes, and
so
maybe
too.
Penn State, but Oklahoma way out in front.
Yep, we'll see you at 6.
All right.
Thanks, good to have you back again. A Tulsa man was an important part of early radio and TV broadcasting in this country, and today he still has lots to say.
That's absolutely right, Jerry. Cal Tenney has lots to talk about because he's rubbed elbows with a lot of celebrities over the years, including Dale Carnegie, Lee Marvin, Lowell Thomas, and Will Rogers. Today, Cal is rubbing elbows with his neighbors and sharing a lifetime of funny stories.
Look up when I got to Hollywood.
To his neighbors, he always looks the same. A suit coat, his tie, his walking cane, and his famous hat. Over the years, 78-year-old Cal Tenney gained fame and fortune for his hat and his humor. He's out here in the park doing what he knows best, telling stories.
Little conversations always in order. And since my walking stick is not articulate, it listens well, but otherwise it's not much help. I talk to myself, but I just talk up a storm.
By talking and writing, Cal Tenney is still working. And Cal will spin yarns about almost anything, from his childhood to world issues.
I wasn't born in a log cabin, but my folks moved into one as soon as I started to live indoors. You think I'm joking? Pontotoc County, where men are men, about that opening of that front and what it meant for the Allied cause. That was a thrill.
Cal was also thrilled when his game show idea turned into a hit.
Come to Stop Me If You've Heard This One. Stop. I know that one. At the end of the wedding ceremony, the very nervous bridegroom said to the preacher, Reverend, is it customary to... No! I fixed that. Say, did you ever hear the story about the man who lied and relied to insist that he was reliable?
But after all the hype and glory, Cal returned to his family and ranch near Broken Arrow. There he worked for ABC Radio Network, broadcasting 5 days a week from his living room and writing newspaper columns and magazine articles. While back here, he also got a chance to play Will Rogers, a man he knew in his 20s and someone who had a great deal of influence on the direction of his life. Cal still plans to write the true story about his idol. And that may be one of the things that Cal is thinking and talking about as he walks through the park. Cal Tenney is always getting ready for his next adventure.
It's like Lincoln said, I will prepare myself, and maybe someday my chance will come. You got to count on a little good luck once in a while, and it'll come.
You know, Jerry, he still works as a speaker at conventions and banquets.
Doesn't surprise me. No, what a charming
He
man.
never stopped talking. I thoroughly enjoyed that afternoon.
We could have done an hour on him. Still to come, Paul Harvey's talking about Soviet television.
And if you're in the market for a typewriter, we'll tell you about the latest trends. You could even write a novel at the beach.
The TV celebrity whose relatives say his fame and fortune tore their family apart. Feuding families on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
We belong together. Watch the Oprah Winfrey Show, Tuesday at 9.
Seems as we get older.
Come on, the kids won't be gone all night.
That's exactly the reason Grigsby's has been in business for over 25 years, because they make it easy to select floor covering that's right for you and your budget.
See our wear-dated carpet with a 5-year warranty starting as low as $11.95 a square yard. Charge it on wall-to-wall credit for wear-dated carpet and don't pay for 90 days.
So come to Grigsby's Carpets and Draperies and get the best service and the best carpet values available anywhere.
Now let's take a look at rush hour traffic. Doc Nelson's up in Chopper 74 with a Newscenter 2 traffic watch. Doc?
Well, we got a good drive going home this afternoon. Only minor delays going outbound. Only one slowdown on one expressway. That's Broken Arrow Expressway from about Mingo out to Garnett. That cleans up quickly. But remember, two things for in the morning. I-244 going west.
Of manipulating the facts to make a better story. There you are.
You're exactly right, Karen, but there's probably nothing reported here like a recent documentary by the Russians about America's poor. And that's always, I think, good.
That is good advice. Now let's take a look at the stories in works for Newscenter 2 at 6.
Yes, because Beth Ringel is standing by live at the update desk with a preview of what is ahead. Beth?
Well, Jerry and Karen, there's good news tonight for people looking for work in Tulsa. We'll tell you why. And has Tulsa outgrown its current form of government? Well, the League of Women Voters is taking a look at that issue. Kay Colby will have that story. Back to you.
Thank you, Beth. We will see you shortly, and that's all we've got time for this Monday edition of News Center 2 at 5. Thank you for joining us.
We'll have more news in half an hour, but now let's go to New York for Tom Brokaw and NBC Nightly News. Good night.